Hi folks, I'm Ashley Robinson. I'm a spiritualist medium from South London, currently on my way down to Portsmouth. Really excited about demonstration of mediumship tonight. Portsmouth has been a place I've enjoyed coming to over the years, ever since I was a child, and it's a fantastic opportunity to work there again tonight. I actually demonstrated mediumship down in Portsmouth a couple of years ago, which was one of the first times I demonstrated my spiritualist mediumship outside of my comfort zone, which is my churches in South London and part of our Life After Death promotions weekend events. So yeah, really happy. I've got about a couple of hours ahead of me on my way down to Portsmouth, just getting onto the motorway now. Not driving and doing this video, you'll be pleased to know, and looking forward to seeing some friendly faces and some new friends later. Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. I would say, welcome to this venue. I know you've probably been here more than I have, but welcome and thank you for coming to see me tonight. My name is Ashley Robinson. I'm based down in South London in Wimbledon, and I'm a spiritualist medium, which is probably a high street 5XL, as you can probably see. But no, I consider myself a spiritualist medium, and I see my job to get communicators from that place I call the spirit world or heaven. And I call that place heaven because for me it makes sense. If you don't associate, that's fine. But as my communicators come through, I act as the medium. My job is to then prove them to you. And that's what I'll be challenging them to do. If they want to talk to you tonight and you want to talk to them, they need to establish who they are. And I'll be asking them to give 2 or 3 really good bits of evidence so that you know who it is. So what I need from you when I'm doing that is for you to tell me yes, no, true, maybe. If you don't know what I'm saying, then tell me to slow down or tell me to give you that information. Because my job is to try and not interpret too much. It's just to act as a medium. It's to give the information as they give it. Sometimes the human being in me is going to try and muddle things up and say things wrong. So if I say something and it does make sense, then say that. I've already said, don't feed me. I'm very well fed. So don't feed me that information. Just try and give me that information. The other thing is that when spirits work with me, sometimes they'll direct me to a certain person. Sometimes they'll give me a name of the person. More often than not, what I find is as they start to introduce themselves and they work with me and they work with my guides, they start to give them evidence of themselves. And what I'll be asking you is to stay open-minded, is to think about that communicator. I'm not a DJ. I can't take your requests. If you really want to speak to your mum, but your second cousin twice removed turns up, even if you don't want to talk to them, tell me that you at least recognise them so that they've done their bit, they've given that evidence. And communicate with me. I am an extrovert as a human being. I get my energy from you. And as we establish that relationship, the communicator through will be able to give you a message. Everyone happy with the concept of that? Yeah. Lovely. We'll stop for a break and then run up to about 8 o'clock. Now, I like to work in an uplifting way because for me, humour is important. And humour, love, it's a really powerful thing. Our spirit friends and family, they are drawn to us when we laugh. And I won't be doing or saying anything which is hopefully disrespectful or offends anyone. I apologise in advance in case they do. They know you quite well. Often and not as a medium, I don't have time to interpret their language. Often working in my church where my dad is the minister, I get told off if there's any swear words that come in. But I'll ask them to be as polite as possible, but sometimes you'll recognise them with that colourful language and that colourful personality. You could say I've been involved in spiritualism my whole life because I was born into a spiritualist family as a sort of 3rd generation. So spiritualism was quite natural to me. The philosophy and the principles of spiritualism were very much a way of life. But what fascinates me with communication and communicating myself was probably as a teenager when I started to understand that there was more things I couldn't understand and I had more questions. And when I was 18, I had a great friend at school that tragically was killed in a fight outside a pub one Easter weekend. And he was someone that used to tease me and give me a bit of banter and a bit of stick about talking to dead people and being involved in that family. But almost immediately after passing to that place I call the spirit world, he chose a little old lady who was serving at my church in London as a medium to suddenly come through in the same personality, the same soul. And although I'd always had a belief in life after death, hearing my friend come through, this little old lady, and call me a mug for getting engaged at the age of 18, but being happy, And for this little old lady who didn't actually know me to be sharing stories about me and my friend travelling, embarrassing stories that only the two of us know, it made me want to follow my own journey on that. It made me want to understand more about that communication and how I could get involved. So my first communicator then, as this person come through, it's a lady. And as this lady communicates to me, I'm asking her to talk about her relationship to someone in this room. She's talking about being family. This lady's talking about being family. She was mother and she was grandmother. She's talking about a cancerous type condition, and she's taking me up towards her lungs and her heart, in which she passed. And I feel like I've got a number of different things going on that have affected my circulation. And the other thing she does, which is a bit of fun and it's a bit of humour with her, is I feel like I've got some false teeth, or I've got an element of false teeth, and I feel like I'm playing with them. You recognise this lady?
I all of that, apart from the cancer, but certainly chest and heart.
Sure, and you understand it, so you understand what going on. Sometimes when I see the letter C, it's symbolic for a name, you're like Claire. Sometimes it's symbolic about this cancerous type condition, but she certainly was talking about this circulation from, and this would be your mother in the spirit world, but she was grandmother. I feel like I've got your children, her grandchildren. Okay, so as she communicates, then she's given evidence of who she wants to come in and pick you up physically. I'm coming under your arms and I'm wanting to bring you up because I feel like you've been carrying. She's talking about you carrying lots of things and lots of people, other people's junk, other people's rubbish, but you're still carrying it. Does that make sense? As she links in with me and she's wanting to hold you up, she's also talking about the fact that she's not taking these things away from you just yet. What she's talking about is this sense of moral courage. This sense of you carrying this, not because it's in your best interest, but because it's in the best interest of others. Do you understand? Yeah. Okay. And she's recognising that. But she's talking about it being a difficult journey. And she doesn't feel that it's over. She feels that actually she's looking ahead and she's showing you on an upward, slowly rising trajectory and feeling like you've got more to carry. So what she's doing is she's giving you the strength. She's giving you the strength to continue to do that, because she's recognising, other people are recognising this situation. I feel like I've got family, I've got younger family as well. You're taking some of this, and some of this is almost like a physical side of emotion. It's where people are needing that help, you understand? Okay. So she's recognising that. In doing so, she's also talking about the importance of recognising you. Okay. Okay. There was a good relationship, she's saying, between us, but she's also talking about the fact that, okay, I didn't wear my emotions on my sleeve. I didn't look you in the eyes and tell you how much you meant to me. You felt that. There was a feeling, you knew how much I cared for you, but I feel like I could have, and as I look back at my life, and I feel like I judge myself, I could have used the word love more. I could have looked you in the eyes and said I love you, because I would have done it every opportunity, because you know that I loved you and there was that feeling. But there's this sense of wanting to use the words now. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
okay.
She did as she got older.
Yeah, so she's talking about it being, okay, it's like there were defects of my character. Some defects of my character came towards the end of my life. Other defects of my character I only saw at the end of my life. And it was like I tried to do a bit more balancing. I was more aware about the way I lived my life and the way I wanted to leave my life. You understand? With the condition, she's, okay, I feel like I've had, this would have been Mum, she's talking about her conditions. I feel like there was a high level of tolerance, like I was tolerating more of a life-limiting condition for a while. But I feel what's happened to me at the end of my life is I've been consumed. And she's talking about it almost coming for her and consuming her quite aggressively and quite quickly. Do you understand? She's talking about the fact that I thought I had longer. Because she's talking about the fact, for a long time, I thought I had no time. And then all of a sudden, I lived a longer time. And then it was just almost as if it had gone out of my mind. She's talking about the fact, okay, you would understand this. She said, there was a fear of me dying. And I was afraid of being afraid of dying. But you kind of took that fear away for me. You planted seeds about death not necessarily being a bad thing. It was not that I stopped becoming afraid of it, but I stopped thinking about it as death. Do you understand? Okay, and she's saying that you did that. You did that for me. And then it just crept up on me and took me, and it consumed me quite aggressively. And I feel that there were still things that I would have done. I feel like I had a physical list of things that I would have ticked down. I feel like there was even things that I was planning for that week when it's been taken. Okay, so she's giving you that evidence. Okay, she's dishing out money. She's using Monopoly money, and she's using my head. And she's talking about the fact there's a lot more mouths to feed now, and we have to make the little we have go farther. But she's also sort of making a joke about it, because she's saying that I would have always given what I could afford to give, but there's an element I would have had even less to give to even more. And actually, physically, there's a lot more of a family. She was showing okay, like a circle of life, and she's talking about as she went down, the circle just didn't continue, it expanded. And she's talking about the family like exploding in a really good way. and she's sort of very, very happy about this. She's talking about lots of planned additions to the family and some unplanned additions to the family, and everything kind of coming together and being this incredible chaos of energy and fun and excitement, you understand? And I feel like I've got a real mix of ages. I've got some very little, and I don't know if I'd been alive if I would have even had great-grandchildren, because I'm seeing the elements of the family tree. And I've got some great fun because I've got some real demolition. It sounds like I've got a 4-year-old boy, and she's given me that analogy of having like almost like a little bundle of demolition and energy and good fun, and lots of other people really starting to make something of themselves and to knuckle down. And I've got a younger girl, a teenage girl. She's given me the letter. Is it S? What's she talking about? Okay, I've got a young teenage girl, and I feel like I've got an element of me sort of bringing the books in and bringing certificates closer, and me approaching a series of more formal accreditation in some sort of studies.
Could that be a boy?
It could be. She's took. Yeah. Okay. Well, you understand the extent, and she's just given me this link, and it feels like they've had the opportunity to bring it in and focus. And I feel like I've had to apply almost like horse blinkers, yeah, to enable to the focusing. But the stuff's in front of me now, and I feel like I've got the qualifications to come as well, and I've got some hard work because potential is really huge. Okay, with you, keep on keeping on. There's going to be an upwards rising trajectory, but actually there's going to be a sense of reaching something, reaching a summit and offloading some of this and feeling free. We will give you the strength. I will give you the strength. I loved you enormously when you're around. And right now I finish by saying I absolutely love you. I'm very proud of everything you've done. Thank you. That was your message from your mum.
Did anybody influence you? Did you get help by anybody?
Lots of help and support. So being born into a family of spiritualists, my father and mother are both ordained ministers within spiritualism, and my grandfather had founded an organisation called Life After Death Promotions. And their mission, or their continuing mission right now as I'm involved, is to share the knowledge of life after death and share the truths of spiritualism. And having that type of help and support, it gave him the perfect foundations. And by the time I was ready to start my own journey, I was introduced to people outside of the family. I started sitting in a more formal circle, and I had help from people within that church circle showing me how to open up and how to be disciplined and how to structure my messages and how to obtain that evidence of those communicators. Okay, I feel like I'm being directed over here, but if everyone can stay open-minded. I've got a young man that's communicating with me. Now, he's standing with a motorbike as opposed to being on the motorbike. This motorbike is quite significant because he's talking about having his life taken away from him, and I feel like I'm on the road with him on a motorbike. So initially he was taking me over to this side. He's giving the letter T. I'm asking him for sort of evidence of the name, and I feel like I've got it's almost like, okay, so it's like a Trevor sort of sounding name. I was talking about his trousers. I think, unless it was Donald who wore the trousers from Scotland. Something significant about my trousers. I've passed away on my motorbike. I've died on my motorbike, and there's something about my levers. I feel like something has happened to my trousers within my levers, and there's been a split or a cut. Anyone understand what I've said so far?
Except for the trousers.
You'd understand the trousers?
Yeah, a little bit, yeah.
Okay. Young man, I'm asking him to show me a picture. I feel like I've got someone, I say I'm a younger man, I'm 36 now, he's younger than me, and he's showing me about the motorbike. And although he's talking about, and he's showing me a speeding gauge as if he was going fast, he's talking about the accident not being his fault. I feel like I've got a third party which has caused me to either come across me and caused me to stop abruptly.
I get that.
You understand that, but you didn't understand about the trousers, okay?
Yeah, I understand.
Don't tell me the colour, but did you know the colour of the bike?
Yeah.
Okay, because he's talking about being green. I've got this flash of green. I don't know if this is either the car or the bike.
As far as I know, the bike is a blue.
The bike is a blue bike. Would you have known the colour of the car? Because he's showing me this colour. Would you have understood the circumstances of the accident now?
It was literally cut in front of.
Okay, so you understand that.
Straight into it.
Okay, because I feel like I've got this flash of green that's come in front of me, and I've had to react to that situation. But there's definitely something about these trousers. So I'll ask him about the trousers in a minute. You'd understand a young man in his 20s,
Yeah.
died on his motorbike. Although he was going fast, he's talking about the fact the actual cause of the accidents, even if he'd been going slower,
Yeah.
he's still very much of the opinion that this car was pulled out and has not seen him.
Yeah.
And he's tried to react, and I feel like I've collided with it. Okay, you understand that. I feel like I've got an immediate collision, I've got a head injury, but I've got multiple injuries on my body. You'd be aware about that. And I feel that even though I was standing there seeing myself and realising that I was dead, I've got people going out of their way to help me. I feel like I've got people arriving very fast to try and bring me back effectively to life. Do you understand that?
Yeah, I do.
'Cause he's talking about that. He's talking about being around the accident and staying there and almost being frozen in it, because I feel like I've got officer that's arrived before a paramedic. He's shown me sort of the blue lights, but I'm not seeing an ambulance, and I'm seeing someone certainly in a uniform. It's like people are trying to resuscitate me on the side of the road.
Yeah, I wasn't there, so I don't know who arrived first,
Yeah.
but all the rest of the stuff you talk about
Okay.
is obviously what I know. I was
Okay.
told.
So he's talking about that. I do think there's this element of trousers. I either that's going to sound really funny. Without telling me else, do you know what he was wearing when he was killed?
All I know, it was bike gear.
It was bike gear, okay.
Regular bike gear.
As he's talking about the fact that there was this sort of rip or this tear in his trousers, and he's trying to have a bit of fun with it, because he's talking about, as I was looking down on my body, I was sort of embarrassed about the fact that I've either got like this wear or this tear in my trousers, and he's sort of smiling and laughing about it and saying that I would have taken care of that, I would have done something about it, I would have replaced them. But the reason he's telling me this now is to try and give an element of his personality, because although, okay, I was in an immediate shock of seeing my body and seeing people, everything was happening very fast in phases of people trying to bring me back. But there was also this element of me trying to make some fun of this and trying to, his word, almost like I'm trying to enjoy the moment. I'm trying to almost ride this as another experience, because I feel like I enjoy excitement. And although this was me and I was dead, I was kind of excited by the situation. Would you understand this in a sense of my personality?
He was always looking for a buzz of some kind,
Okay.
adrenaline and that.
And it was very exciting, because I've got people rushing for me. I'm the star of the show. He said, but there's this element of me watching and saying that they couldn't do anything. They couldn't bring me back. But it's like they wouldn't give up. And I feel like the police officer had got there, and then someone else had got there, and they're like, no, now we're here, we're going to try. And there's this element of not moving me, and I feel like someone had said about not taking off my helmet and then taking off my helmet. But there's this element of eventually I'm on my back, and people are trying to restart my heart. Okay, and I feel like my heart, it wasn't, and it would have had to have been restarted. I wasn't in a fibrillation. I'd been killed. There'd been this major trauma. Okay, because of this car pulling out me. Okay, so you understand communicator. As he's giving that sense of his personality, and he's talking about that buzz and that excitement, he's talking about the fact, he's talking about being pretty pissed off that he's died, but he's also talking about the fact that if I was going to design my death, I would have gone out on a buzz, I would have gone out the bank. I didn't want the idea of falling asleep in my chair and dying quietly. Equally, I didn't want to take anyone with me. There was this element of me, though, wanting to live every moment for the now. And it's like I didn't do a lot of forecasting. I don't think I even owned a diary. I wasn't necessarily thinking too far into the future. I was kind of living for the now and the moment. And this buzz and this excitement, I feel like there's still an element of that with me now, and there's an element of being able to do that, because it's like things, I can do even riskier stuff up here and there's even less consequences, okay? And he's talking about that being exciting. He's talking about riding that buzz of enjoyment. But he's also talking about being with you. So I do know you a little bit. You've come down and worked at our church, so I know you work as a medium. He's talking about being with you on the bike, though.
Yeah.
Okay, so he's not physically behind you on the seat, but he's coming with you. Okay, and you'd understand. He said he's imprinted himself, and you know he's there. That's just extra confirmation, because you knew he was there. But he says, and he's coming for the ride, because you've gone to places that he hasn't gone, and it's like I'm seeing things through your eyes, and I'm trying to, because you still have the thrill, you still have the thrill of excitement, and you enjoy things, and I'm on that journey of pursuit of happiness with you. Okay, it's like I'm coming with you on bits and pieces of that. I'm letting you live your own wonderful, kinky, beautiful life at times, but I'm coming with you as well, okay? And he's talking about the fact that as I communicate with you, there's an element of, you're talking to a dead person, and I find this quite strange, but I know that you talk to dead people, so you don't find this strange. Okay, do you understand? I'm just trying to sort of say it as he's giving me the words, because he finds the situation sort of quite funny. And it's almost like he's teasing me a little bit, okay? I feel like I would have got on well with him. He's got this lovely, warm sort of personality. But he's sort of saying, I don't even know you. I know him. I don't know why I'm talking to you for. And he's having some fun with it now. It's like he's growing in confidence with communicating. And he's talking about communicating continue some more. You are approaching an opportunity of going off. And I feel like I've got not one and two, but three different directions where you could carry on doing what you're doing, and he's saying you're going to continue to do that, because this isn't an ultimate free option way. This is, he's being really funny with my words. He's saying, you'll enjoy this freeway, okay, he's talking about, but he's being cheeky with it, because he's saying you can continue on this journey, continue going forward, but you're going to go off and you're going to develop something else. And it's going to be an addition to you. It's going to be an extra feather to your bow. And you're going to be able to do the other thing as well. So rather than deciding on which of the three you're going to do, it's just about the order you want to do them in. Because what you're doing, you're already aware of that journey you've started. You're going to continue on that journey, but you're going to be able to develop these other things as well. And I think one is more of a challenge to you. Okay, it's talking about you challenging the status quo and wanting to do it. And the other thing's more about fun and you wanting it to top up and invest in you. Does that make sense?
It depends how you're looking at it, to be honest.
Okay. I think because he's talking about minds, I feel like spiritual. I've got a spiritual journey.
Yeah.
Okay, and very much about you continuing doing what you're doing, but bringing in something different, like a new element to it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
He's talking about that, and he's talking about the other thing is more about a pursuit of fun, something that you're going to enjoy doing. And I feel like I've got some travel because it's like he's getting out the bags and he's packing you up, and he's wanting you to do that because you're going to enjoy it. But it's kind of like you challenging the status quo a little bit.
Oh, okay, cool.
Because it doesn't all fit in at the same time, I'm going to have to pick and choose. Does that make more sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So enjoy the journey and the travel in the pursuit of happiness. Don't worry, because you're going to come back and add that additional feather to your bow. You're going to continue doing what you're doing, and that's going to continue to grow. Okay. More philosophy, and I want to widen the audience. I want to widen the audience. And I know, obviously, we're here today, and we're being filmed, and I know that you've introduced me to that, but there's an element of a much wider audience. And he's talking about the internet. It's like more people are connecting in and hearing and seeing about you, and it's not just about you, it's about what everyone else is saying through you as well.
Oh, okay.
You understand
Yeah,
that?
yeah.
Wider audience, big things, and big thumbs up. He's wanting to plug you in via others to the World Wide Web. Okay?
Right.
It's almost like I'm plugging you in. Okay? I'm expanding your audience.
Okay.
I'm getting you out to them. Okay? Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does,
Okay.
yeah.
So he wants to do that, and he wants to say carry on doing it.
Okay, cracking.
And the other thing he leaves with, so I know as because I'm standing right in front of you, you could probably benefit some healing at the moment, but he's talking about wanting to give you that healing. And although I've got some pain and some discomfort around that side of my body, I feel like this isn't about physical vision and sight. I feel like I've got some pain, and I want to be able to take that away and continue with the healing. Okay?
Okay, lovely.
Okay. Take his best wishes. That's your message. Thank you.
Lovely, Ash, thank you.
So how do you communicate? You're here doing a demonstration tonight on mediumship. How do you communicate with spirit?
I communicate with spirit in different ways. Sometimes that is purely down to their discipline and the way they want to give me information. Sometimes it's around how I'm physically feeling and the location I'm in. But spirit influence me and they influence my senses. So there used to be a show I used to watch from my grandparents called Catchphrase, and you had to say what you see. And the idea for me is that that's what I need to do. I'm working as the medium. I'm the interface between the spirit world, that place I call heaven, and people right here. And what the spirit world are going to do, people inside that place, that realm, they're going to use my memories, my senses, to present me with information, to give evidence of who they are. I have guides that help me, spiritual guides. Some people might call them your guardian angels. I believe that one of my guides is someone I knew. It was my godfather. They work quite closely with me, and in establishing that communication is also about having a discipline. So I'll say to my guide, I need to know if they're friends or family. If they're family, show me this. If they're friends, show me this. And when I say show me, I don't always physically see with my eyes. What they do is influence my mind's eye. So I have to clear that. I have to take out next week's shopping list and the thing I want to record on the telly. And once that mind's eye is absolutely clear, like a blank canvas, then spirit and my guides, they can start overlaying things. So I have to stop and I have to listen, both with my physical ears and with my internal senses. Okay, the names that I'm hearing being called out this communicator is Leslie and Dave. I'm just going to plant them to one side because I'm not entirely sure who the communicator is. Okay, so I've got a woman here, and as this woman communicates with me, I'm asking about how she's related to someone here. She's talking about being a friend, and I'm asking about how she's a friend, and I've certainly got a professional connection, as if I've either worked with this person or we've worked together, we've done similar things, or we've met each other professionally. This woman then, that would be a friend or a colleague of some sort, I'm asking about how she passed, and she's taken to me towards her chest, and she's talking about having a cancer, and I feel that I've had a spread of cancer. Okay. I was about to put my hand on my right breast and say that she was taking me to her breast. I won't say it quite like that. What I will say is she's talking about having this problem. I feel like I've had a growth, or I've had something, and I feel like I've dealt with that, and I feel that has then spread, and that has got into to my blood. Would anyone understand this lady, a friend or colleague? I've got a breast cancer which has spread and got into the blood. Okay, taking out the relationship with the friend. Does anyone else understand this woman in her 40s that would have this cancerous type condition?
My dad's Leslie.
Your dad's Leslie?
Yeah, and my mum passed away at 47.
At 47.
It wasn't cancer.
It wasn't cancer. What about the poisoning of the blood? I feel like I've got a problem or a shutdown.
I'm not too sure about that.
Okay, let me try and get more information. What about the name Dave? Because initially I heard that Leslie and Dave. I felt that was a couple. Do you take both names or just Dave?
My dad has passed away.
Your dad's partner is Dave?
Dave. My brother is on earth.
Yeah.
He's Leslie.
He's Leslie. Okay. So you understand the names. Would you understand a woman with the cancer? And I feel like I've got.
I was only 48 when she passed with cancer, but that was many years ago.
Okay. Right. Let's get all these communicators lined up. Okay. What was your name, please? Lindsay. Lindsay, whose dad was Leslie, mum's in the spirit world. And your name, please?
My name's Anna.
Anna. Your father was Dave.
Yes.
Your brother is Leslie.
Yes.
And you one of two, brother and sister.
I got a brother, Leslie, and a sister, and me.
Okay, so there's three. So that'd be the one in three. Okay, I think I am with you. What was your name again, sorry?
Anna.
Hello, Anna. Anna, let's try and establish this communicator. Your grandmother was the lady that would have been about 48, passed with the cancerous type condition.
She had breast cancer.
She had breast cancer. Okay. So I do feel I've got a multiple communicator. So let me come back to you. But at the moment, Anna, I think I am with you because I feel like I've got a family get together. I feel like I've got. Father was Dave, in the spirit world. Okay. Okay. I feel like your father is communicating. Okay, with Dave, and there's this sort of there's almost like I know you're here, Leslie's not, and there's a third, but I feel like I've got you in the middle of them. Like you're the glue, and I feel like Leslie's kind of where I want to direct my attention at the moment, because I feel like that's where your attention is directed at the moment. Your grandmother in the spirit world, that was his mother-in-law. His mother. Okay, so your grandmother, his mother on that side. You'd understand this sense about I'm reaching out to Leslie. I feel like there's some. I want to tweak him a little bit, but I feel like I almost want to give him a clip round the ear as well, because I feel like he's not listening to you. I feel like you've been giving him some advice and some things that he needs to hear, but you're not talking about the things he wants to hear. Does this make sense? No. You need to be telling him the things he needs to hear, not wants to hear. Okay? You've got like I feel like because you're talking about like this burning opinion. I feel like Leslie is going to benefit from being told. It's not like criticism or anything, but I feel like he needs to. Because I want to clip around there, I want to get him to stand attention, I want him to pay attention. I want you to kind of be the one that tells him some of these things he needs to hear. Do you understand that? Because there's an element of almost like picking up the shield and being a bit brave, but I feel like he needs some help and he needs to be directed, because I don't feel like he's reaching anywhere near his best at the moment. And I feel like if anyone's got the courage and the strength to do this, it would be you. Okay, and I want to put you in the middle. Is it your daughter next to you? Okay. Yeah, I'm definitely communicating with you. Okay. I feel like I want to give you that gentle push. I want to give you that gentle push. I want to give you that permission. Because at the moment, it's like he's only got the appetite for hearing the things he wants to hear. But he desperately needs the encouragement. So does this make sense? Yeah? He needs to hear the things he wants to hear, because without it, he's not going to get out of bed. I feel like we need to encourage him. We need to hear some of those things. But actually, he wants you to give him the sandwich. Tell him some of those things he wants to hear, throw in a nice little filling of the things he needs to hear, and then finish it with some of the stuff he wants to hear, because you'll be able to do it quite diplomatically. Because I feel like there's an element of sensitivity around him at the moment that could otherwise offend him, but I feel like he needs it, and I feel like I'm wanting to push you towards that, because you're going to help him reach more of his best more of the time. And I feel you're good at this, and okay, you're a young one. You were much younger when he passed away.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's talking about almost see it like I'm going to see you grow up a lot more from here than I was when I was around you. But I feel like my family were really important to me. If I was counting out my worth was my level of engagement with my family. That was how important life was to me. But I feel this was something I didn't, because I took it for granted. Would you understand that? There was this element of almost not counting that wealth in time, and realising how lucky I was and how rich I was, because I was a millionaire in terms of that sense. But I feel there's this element, because I'm in clapping Leslie's ear, I feel like there's this element of me wringing my own neck as well. I feel like there's this element of me being poorly behaved or badly behaved. Would you understand that? Because I feel like I've had to grow up a little bit, and in looking at myself and looking at things differently and seeing my life through your eyes in particular, I actually feel there was an element of me that was unnecessarily cruel. I don't know if does that make sense? Okay. So he's talking about that, and he's also saying sorry for it. Because sorry was hardly a word I ever used. But I feel like there's an element of saying sorry or apologising for that, because as I now look and I look at the cards of my life and I look at the memories, I feel I've added some value. And I think some of the greatest value I've added was around my family. And as I said, that was enormously important to me. But I didn't tell them how important it was to me, and I didn't count that worth. Do you understand that? Okay. And as I see the family grow up and I'm being around, I feel like I'm actually being remembered in a much higher light. I feel like people are talking, okay, people are choosing to talk about the positives of me and the positives of my behaviour. And I'm really surprised that no one's kind of having a moan or a nag about me or mention the defects, because if you only listen to the gossip that people talk about me now, I was a saint compared to the man I lived and walked in the shoes. Do you understand that? Okay. And he's talking about you being the architect of that. And he's talking about you making a decision to do that and to recall it in a positive light. Not because I've mentioned unnecessarily cruel. I wasn't a wicked person, but I was unnecessarily cruel. And I feel like, although I'm not a wicked person, I feel there's been elements of things that I would now say were wicked when I'd done them. Do you understand that? So I feel like I'm splitting off my personality, okay? And I don't know if there was something I would take or drink, but it's almost like I had a flick of a switch, and you had to see which person you're almost getting at the moment. Do you understand that? Okay. So he's talking about that, and he's showing it on the scales, and he's talking about recognising it now, knowing how wealthy he was for the family. I mentioned, my mother, 48 with a breast cancer. I feel like she's almost brought me in tonight, because I feel like I've had to be led here again. Behind every good man is an even better woman. And she's kind of brought me in and brought me up to here, and I'm trying to now reach more of my potential in admitting there was these defects, admitting that there's an element of me wanting to apologise for things I've done. But I also want to say the importance of you being that greater woman behind a good man, making a good man even better. Do you understand that? Okay, because I feel like, you've had to juggle lots of competing priorities, and I feel like the force field should have been up, because I feel like there was a lot being thrown at you. Would you understand that? And he's talking about that being unnecessarily cruel. You mentioned that word before, but he just feels like it was a meteor storm. And he's talking about you standing quite tall and firm and almost absorbing it and not having that force field, but being the force field for other people around you. Do you understand that? And there's an element of protection there. And there's a lot of symbolic stuff he's talking about here with the shield and the force field, but he's recognising that. And he's recognising that, okay, it's like there's still, although I feel like we're getting that past that now and it's behind us, I feel there's an element of pain still. And there's an element of hurt. And it's almost like we need to get to a point where we can, where you'll be able to actually forgive the people in this situation, not because they deserve forgiveness, but because it'd be better for you in terms of moving on. But it's because of their behaviour. Their attitude affected their behaviour. You've had to deal with that behaviour and you've kind of absorbed that. But I've got a clock, and it's like I want time to let this settle a little bit. I want the dust to settle, and I want you to be able to recover, and I want you to be able to recover fully, because I feel like this is still prickly. Does that make sense? Okay. He's shown me a photograph of what I believe is himself, and I've got like a black and white photograph in a frame, which is sat on a round table, and he's talking about almost like being like a shrine. And I don't know if you've done this for people to come and maybe it was at my funeral, but I've had like flowers being dropped around this photograph, and I've had like people having conversations with me as if I was in this photograph. Do you understand that? It's a black and white photo of me. It's almost like a reddish, brownish red frame he's showing me. Okay, he's just talking about that, and he's talking about people having conversations, and it's like the photo has been moved on from when I've died, but I feel like the photograph is still around, and it's like the people that talk to me, sometimes I want them to scream and shout at me. I feel like this is the only time that I'm actually going to listen, and I'm going to listen properly, because I feel like I would have tried to get my tuppence in the whole time, and actually this is the best opportunity for me to listen, and there are things that I still need to listen to. You understand that? And I feel there's with you in terms of recovery and an element of forgiveness. There's also this with your mother and being able to go with things. But there is this sense of I want to become a better person, and I'm going to try and do that from now. You've understood your communicator, and you've understood your message. Okay, thank you. That was your message. Thank you. So I spoke about having great foundations, and my grandfather was one of the founders of an organisation called Life After Death Promotions. Life After Death Promotions were a group of like-minded people, Doris Stokes, Gordon Hinkerson, Jesse Nason, and my grandfather, Dirk Robinson, that got together, and they wanted to take this concept of we need to share this evolving, continuing knowledge of life after death. We need to share the truths of spiritualism, the philosophy that we're starting to learn, the stuff that's being downloaded to us. And if people won't come to us, we need to take it out to them. They went and found venues which ordinary folk could walk into without the dogma of saying, oh, I can't go into a church or a spiritualist centre. And it's probably a much bigger deal to me now than it probably was to them, 36 years ago, because what it was take what was known as modern spiritualism and it started to modernise it again. We don't need to go back more than a couple of hundred years to sort of say that some of those early communications would have taken a very long time, knockings and tappings on walls, and Victorians using parlour games like Ouija boards as those early communication tools. Actually, if you sort of stop to think about how long it would have taken to have got a message from spirit by communicating in sort of almost binary knocks, it took a very long time. But actually taking mediumship that was growing, evidence which was becoming better, taking that evidence out and approaching people in theatres and social clubs, what that did was plant seeds. It planted seeds about the truths of spiritualism, and those seeds have grown. And in some places it's meant that people have come into churches and centres and found spiritualism for themselves. Welcome back, folks. Thanks for coming back. I think all the chairs are still here. Mediumship for me is an experiment. As much as I would love that, your loved ones start tapping on the shoulder on the way down here, I don't know what I'm going to say until I get it. I've got this gentleman with me that's communicating, and he reminds me a lot of my own grandfather, and indeed my own grandfather, who's in the spirit, was with me at the moment. I feel like I've got the element of I'm wearing a waistcoat. I was going to wear a three-piece suit, but I'm big, I'm hot, and I'm sweaty, and everything wasn't quite fitting as well today. I've untucked my shirt. My granddad's kind of tutting about the way that I've worn the waistcoat today. But as this gentleman steps forward, I've got this element of him standing a lot smarter wearing a waistcoat, and he's putting his hand inside his waistcoat as if there was a pocket watch on a chain. I'm asking this man who he is. He's talking about being grandfather and father. I'm asking about how he passed into the spirit world, and he's talking about heart. I've had a heart failure, and I've had a major failure. I feel like I've had a heart attack or something which has caused me to end my life. But I'm just going to see now, would anyone understand this man in the spirit world? So it's a father and grandfather. As he describes himself, I'm about 6 foot. I look slightly short because I am fat, but he's much slimmer. And he's got sort of smaller, shorter shoulders, but relatively strong, firm shoulders. As he shows his hair, and he talks about passing in his late 50s, I feel like I've got the hair combed over to one side, and I've got start a bit of thinning at the front. So father, grandfather in the spirit world, talking about the symbolic of the pocket watch, which I think is still around. I feel like I'm being directed over to here. Although I was a father and grandfather, I feel like I've got my granddaughter and my daughter here as well. Mother-daughter relationship, man in the spirit world, heart attack.
Okay, put my hand up. My granddad died when I was 3 months old, and
Okay.
he was 57,
Okay.
and he had a heart attack. He did have, what I could see from the photographs, I could see I was 3 months old, was white hair,
Yep.
and it looked like it was real good. Yeah, and he'd been a little bit smarter what I see the photographs of him, but not always.
Okay. I was being directed to this side, and as you were talking, your mother's still alive? Your mother here? Your mother's in the spirit world. Did she have his pocket watch, and then you've got it? Because I feel like I've got this pocket watch.
Pocket watch.
She had
I'm
my
not
pocket
quite
watch.
Sure about there was a watch that it would have been her grandfather's. I'm not quite. There was something about pocket
Okay.
watch.
I feel like this has been it's been regifted, and I've got it. It's like a silver pocket watch and a silver chain, and there's this element of a hand into the pocket. But you'd certainly take grandfather in the spirit world. You understand the heart attack, and you understand the physical description. I don't remember what I was doing last week, so you remembering him at age 3 months is going to be slip.
I can remember him from photographs.
Yeah. So he's going to have to work harder if he wants to communicate with you, to give you that evidence that it is him and this message is for you. So I asked about your mother. Your mother's in the spirit world as well. Okay. With your mother, I feel I've got this problem in my head. I don't know if I've had an aneurysm or a bleed somewhere in my head with your mother. This woman that is with your grandfather that's communicating. Take it away. I've had a stroke. Not right now, 10 years ago, but I've had a stroke, and they're showing me that memory of the stroke, and I feel like I've got more of a bleed than a clot, but I've got something that has affected the right-hand side of my head.
She had a cancer, skin cancer there.
Skin cancer there, okay.
Okay, but no, she passed.
Don't tell me more.
Yeah, she
Okay.
passed from different circumstances.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, grandfather in the spirit world, don't you understand that we met from the Crips? Now, this would have been his daughter, so your mother is his daughter. I think the relationship of mother and daughter, because he spoke about you all being here together. What was your name, please? Hello, Sonia. Sonia, as they sort of they communicate and come in, there's this real element. So this would be your mother and grandfather. I don't know how strong their relationship was when they were alive. And obviously, you were only 3 months old when your grandfather died away, but there's a strong relationship. I feel like there's this partnership, okay, and I feel like there's this partnership that has continued, okay. And I know you said you were only 3 months old when when he passed away, but I feel like there was a big element, there was a big chunk of not just your life, but her life that I've missed out on. And I feel like her as a parent, her in her motherhood, these were things I had to observe and not be directly involved in, okay.
That's right.
And as they sort of communicate, and it's almost like they're coming through as one. There's this real strong relationship. And he was talking about mother and daughter, and he's talking about this watch. And I definitely feel that he's... I'll say it one more time because he keeps going on about it. She took my watch, and I feel like the watch is around. Okay, but you say you haven't got it.
Could be my aunt, it could be anyone,
Okay.
I wouldn't know.
Because there was this element of me having to farm things out. It was like... And I've got your mother saying, it's almost like they're almost arguing like a married couple, you know, but not in a nasty sort of aggressive way, because she's talking about the fact I had to get rid of all the stuff, and there were things that had to be done. Now, you were very young, so it wouldn't be a member that you'd be able to share, so I'm saying it's irrelevant and they can't continue to talk about it.
That her mum took over everything.
Okay,
So she was only 17.
okay. So young and parented and
Yeah.
spending that life. Okay, so that does make sense to you. And starting to give more of an anchor, which is what I'm asking you to do. Okay, right, sorry. He's talking about your eyes, okay? And it's almost like I'm going into an optician's with you, and I'm wanting to do something. I want to either assess your eyes or something like that, because I feel like this is due. I feel like I've got a calendar and I'm circulating down the diary. Do you understand that? Okay, so he's talking about wanting to do it, and he's wanting to get you into the opticians, and I feel like there's something I want to do to enhance your eyesight as opposed to deal with a deteriorating eyesight. It's almost as if I want to make you concentrate less so that you're not as tired. I don't know if this is doing something you're watching the telly, you're looking like longer away, and I'm wanting you to be able to physically concentrate less on seeing it, so I want to be able to enhance your eyes. Do you understand? Okay, so he's talking about that, and he's talking about being the right thing, because I feel like I've got you being more tired. I know we all get tired at nights when we go to bed, but I've got you almost like sitting down in order to sort of relax and unwind and having to concentrate and being more tired over that. You understand? So he's talking about a candle. I've got the candle being burnt at both ends, and I feel there's this huge element of you being pulled in different ways. And he's talking about that some of that is out of design for... There are things that need to be done, and you're having to go in those different directions. But there's also an element of people calling on you, because I've got like a bell, and it's almost as if I'm ringing and I'm calling upon you. And I feel that just as you sort of sat down, I'm being pulled up to go out and do things for other people. Do you understand? Because it's almost like you're becoming, okay, here's what, almost like you're taking a primacy in like a care role for older people as opposed to younger people. You understand?
Yeah, almost.
Okay. And yeah, I'm ringing the bell, off you come running. And it's not necessarily a bad thing, he's just recognising it, and he's also recognising it burning you out. So he's wanting to top you up, he's wanting to say that, he's wanting to silence the bell to a certain extent, he's wanting to make sure that when people are asking for things, they're asking for things at the same time, not spreading them out. Well, this is because it's almost like you're being beckoned or summoned. Do you understand? Okay. And he's talking about the fact they're almost doing it for your company, as opposed out of necessity of the things that they're asking you to do.
Yes.
You understand that, okay? And he's sort of saying they should be weighted up and grouped up, because that would then become a necessity. Actually, the important thing is, and you obviously understand that, is they just want to spend time with you. They want your company because you're uplifting them and you're giving them this interaction and this engagement, and that's what's really important to them. So great, they're being picked up, but he's also recognising the fact that we want to top you up. And as your sort of mum comes in, she's wanting to, it's almost like I'm dosing up with vitamin C and other things because I just want you to be revitalised.
Yeah.
Yeah, you understand that?
Yeah.
The link with vitamin C. So it's like I want to sort of top you up. Okay, with your mother, she's sort of stepping a bit more forward now to communicate. She's talking about not just the relationship as mother-daughter. She's talking about having a friendship. Okay, she's talking about having a friendship, and one of her. Okay, she's using the element pride. One of her most sort of proudest moments was when you were able to come to her with secrets. And she felt like she was one of your friends as one of your mothers, because it's like you trusted her opinion as a peer as well as your mother. Do you understand that? Okay, and she's talking about that, and she's talking about it was the proudest, but okay, and you don't have to answer this, but there's almost this element, if you're talking about like a boyfriend or a partner or something, and it was almost like she was enormously proud that you could come to her and tell her about everything that was going on, but there was also this element of I'm also your mother, and it was like I'm proud and I'm awkward, and it was great that we had this friendship. Okay, you understand that?
Yeah, I remember that.
Okay, so she's giving that as a memory, and she's got this this lovely, warm, sort of endearing smile to her. And as she sort of smiles at me now, she wants to come close to you and she wants to see you smile. Okay, she's talking about you not seeing you smile enough recently.
Yeah.
Now she's producing some beautiful flowers, and these look like sunflowers. Okay, this is a beautiful yellow flower. She's bringing it right up close to your face, and she's almost wanting to tickle the bottom of your chin with them because she's wanting to sort of provoke a smile. She's also talking about the sunflower being quite symbolic about you. Okay, the sunflower always turns and faces the light. And she's talking about your ability to turn and face the direction of the light and to look at the positive things. So you understand? You accept this gift of sunflowers. So I know you're here, obviously, tonight, but she's talking about your spiritual sense and planting seeds. You've been talking more about philosophy with friends. It's almost like they're coming to you. It's almost showing you like a guru or an agony aunt of some sort. But you've got friends that aren't necessarily here tonight. They're asking you then questions about your opinions on this. Do you understand?
Yeah.
Okay, because she's showing you. It's like she's an ambassador for this now. You know, we're gonna wheel her out. But she's talking about how important it is because your friends having this enormous trust in you. And it's even like if you don't have all of the answers, the fact that you've got the willingness to listen, you've got this appetite for that. She's saying it's really important. Keep on talking about it. Keep on planting these seeds, because as we want to give you more evidence of us being around you in life after death, you're doing so much good in giving people some hope and some philosophy around what you think the meaning of the universe is, even if you're just starting to understand it yourself. Okay? You understand that. Okay, so keep telegraphing those questions and then trust your instinct and your mind's eye. We will try and point you in that direction and give you those answers, because we are... Okay, me and Dad, we are finding out the meaning of the universe. We're going to help you find it out too. But just keep asking the questions. Keep having that thirst and that appetite, all right? Mum and Granddad, send you their love, okay? That was your message. Thank you. Folks, it's been an absolute privilege to work with you here tonight in Portsmouth. Thank you for working with me. I'm sorry that I didn't get round to everybody. Rest assured that spirits have come in with you, they can go home with you. And remember, of course, that we've all got that opportunity to pick up that walkie-talkie. I very much believe that the relationships we have with people right now on Earth, that engagement, that energy we have with people, that changes when they cross over. And they need to learn how to communicate again. But if you keep up your end, if you keep picking up the metaphorical walkie-talkie and you keep talking to them, they'll find a way to communicate back. Know that they are around you. Know that that change after that so-called death is another existence, another form of energy, a level of pure energy, thought and love. And that our loved ones continue on. Thank you, friends. I've been Ashley Robinson. Good night.
So if anybody wanted to get involved in developing themselves, could they contact you via the churches, or can they go to LED?
Absolutely, and particularly if you're in London, do reach out to us at Wimbledon Spiritualist Church. We're both on Facebook and Twitter. You can find us there as Wimbledon Spirit or Life After Death events. But the beautiful thing about this country and this sort of era is there are spiritualist churches and missions and cafes with like-minded people all over the country. So, start on Google if you're not sure where to start. Reach out to one of the people that you've seen on this channel. Reach out to your local spiritualist church, and you'll find that if you go there with an open mind and the right respect, then the possibilities are endless. Hi, it's Ash. I'm on my way home from sunny Portsmouth. Dark on the roads, but feeling absolutely fantastic. Energy in the Mystic Cafe in Portsmouth this evening was wonderful. Wonderful people, really good crowd, and some lovely messages from spirits giving proof of their life after death, and some messages of great comfort to those people in the congregation. Really grateful for the opportunity from Kay and Colin, and look forward to coming back to Portsmouth once again. Take care, folks, and best wishes. Bye.